Hello everyone, my name is Awa, and today I'm going to be checking out the new patch notes and then trying the new map. I'm just going to summarize the most important part, and that is Demeter has gotten her third life now. She's been majorly overhauled for the third time since her release. You had Demeter on launch, then you had Demeter after she got Hera, and then she also got her unique fortress unit and a bunch of balance changes. And now they've soft rebooted her and shifted a lot of her dynamics. They even gave her glowing eyes now, which was really awesome of them to do. If you don't like it, you can keep it off, which is what I'm going to do. But I'm happy the people who want glowing eyes can have it now because then it'll match all of her siblings. Considering Demeter has had 3 lives now and she gains glowing eyes, I wonder if there's an avatar state joke to be made around here. Where if a Demeter player is losing, they can just activate the avatar state and start using all their tech and bonuses. That is, of course, just a joke relating to Avatar The Last Airbender, though, which I just finished watching a few years too late. Honestly, I'm glad they made Ferris and Pan a lot more viable picks because in my experience, Pan wasn't getting picked too often. And then Ferris, I hardly saw anyone choose her over Hera. Like hardly anyone I knew wanted to pick Ferris. But anyways, and then after Demeter, the next coolest thing we got was a brand new map. They dropped this on a Monday of all things. Them dropping updates on Mondays are already super uncommon, and them dropping a map after release of DLC is awesome. I'm so appreciative they did this. I mentioned in a previous video that I thought there was more maps that was meant to come out, but they were rushed because of the deadlines and weren't able to push them out. This was because with the Obsidian Mirror DLC, they didn't ever say the total amount of maps that would be in the DLC, unlike the other DLCs where they had a number before those maps came out. Like they clearly knew how much maps would release with Heavenly Spirit and Mortal Pillars, while that wasn't available for Obsidian Mirror. And I said, even though that was just speculation, I pleaded with them, if that was going to be the case, don't let the scrapped maps that didn't make it before the deadline be lost content. Do the same thing they did with Capybaras where it was released after launch, and they did actually do that, so that's amazing that they did. And yeah, overall, this is a huge patch. A whole entire character gets reworked, and then there's a brand new map. I think this patch was amazing. It's ironic that they advertised the last patch as the huge one, but this one seemed pretty big itself because it also has a heaping amount of balance changes. And then I have unfortunate news for the people who saw my 67 chicken video. They finally patched the 67 chickens on Peach Blossom Land after nearly 2 years of that bug being in the game. I was talking about this and someone said they did this after 6-7 weekend. And I was like, what's 6-7 weekend? They showed me that on the calendar this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday was June 6th and June 7th, making it 6-7 weekend. And then they patched the 6-7 bug the first business day after 6-7 weekend. And then crickets chirped across the room and I didn't respond. Anyway, rest in peace the people who enjoyed all the chickens on Peach Blossom Land. Although my April Fool's event is still up that you can play any time of year now, where there's a 1 in 3 chance you'll get Peach Blossom Maze with all of its chickens. So many chickens in Peach Blossom Maze for any of those guys who still crave chickens. Anyway, with that out the way, I'm going to show you guys some gameplay of the new map. And honestly, it was rough. From the moment I saw the map, I knew that wood was going to be an issue, so let's take a look at the gameplay. So we open up to a pretty standard match, nothing too crazy. I've been kind of on a burnout of playing standard 2v2s or 3v3s, so I've been playing some wackier settings. So today we're playing a 2v2 v2 v2. I got my trusty friend by my side, and then our opponents are all legendary bots, of course. I did do random personalities on some of the teams, but our neighbors coincidentally ended up being the balanced bots anyway, so we got the normal legendary bot experience, so that was pretty funny. I think Blue was a defender bot, but he was like all across the map, so we didn't even get to experience it that much. Oh, well, we're here. Let me talk about what color all the players are. So I'm player 1, I will call that green. My friend is player 2, I will call that dark green. Player 3 will be teal. Player 4 will be blue. Player 5 is red. Player 6 is burgundy. Player 7 is orange. And player 8 will be peach. Let's just settle that right here and now before anyone gets confused when I scream out color names. In general, though, we can see that we have green team versus red team versus blue team versus orange team. One thing I did notice is that the island has no relative elevation, I don't think, which makes it super flat. But yeah, this match ended up being 2 hours, so I'm just going to skip around and show you some of the highlights because I'm not going to sit here and force you guys to watch all 2 hours of gameplay. Unfortunately, since Burgundy was just a balanced AI, he was really aggressive being legendary. He was able to afford all the aggression. But this is my first time playing Pan since release. I don't usually pick Pan, I usually pick Ares over Pan. But since I had access to Arcadian Metal, I found out a way you could cheese the bots of Arcadian Metal. So obviously this won't work on real players, they'll just know to leave the Arcadian Metal and attack you. But it seems the bots are kind of not doing too well against this power. So just kind of stay in the Arcadian Metal while you shoot at them with some archers. If you have a higher priority target within the metal itself, such as a villager. In case you guys didn't know, villagers are the highest priority targets that the bots will target. So they'll drop anything to attack a villager if they see one. I don't think this applies to their siege units though, which will prioritize buildings, of course, because that's what siege do best. And it's just so funny that the Hamadryad ability also works in the Arcadian Metal, damaging them pretty hard. But yeah, I was able to get that wave done for basically free using the Arcadian Metal because the bots just don't know how to handle it at the moment. You guys can see that both me and the bots are utilizing the water aspect of this map. I'm really glad they add this map because this makes it so the Aztec DLC has at least one water map for my water fans out there. You know, I was a little scared when I saw that they dropped the DLC and all of it was land maps. Although, can you blame them since people usually only play land maps anyway? Shoot, most people don't even play a lot of the land maps, like the gimmick ones that were introduced in the Immortal Pillars DLC, which is probably why the Heavenly Spear DLC was more focused on more generic competitive maps. But yeah, you can see over here we're once again using the Arcadian Metal to our advantage, with archers being able to shoot at them and Hamadryad's ability still activating inside of there. I honestly wonder what other myth units have their abilities work inside of there. Oh yeah, talking about the map, I think this makes it one of the first maps to have a, like, purely dirt environment. So you guys followed my map making journey, my custom maps. I made a lot of dirt environment maps and even made that a biome that appears in AWOT Unknown because I thought having a dirt biome was really cool and it's cool to see that they finally did themselves. Although the description of the map said that was urban, so I thought they were going to use the tiles like the from Ubinopolis or the new Aztec tiles from Tenochtitlan, but I guess not, they just used dirt. Anyway, I'm going to skip to a part where I get Earthquake, and unfortunately this Earthquake will have devastating effects for the rest of the game because there is currently a bug in the game and this bug will affect me. So as we know, Age 4 destructive powers, they prevent other powers from being casted while they're active, right? But right now there's a bug in the game that makes it so that they prevent other powers from being casted even after they're not active anymore. Like that area just becomes permanently off limits to powers. In a later clip you'll see me trying to defend myself, but it won't work because that area was within the Earthquake's region and prevents me from casting for the rest of the game because of the bug. I have this currently reported, but if this happens to you where you can't cast a power for some reason, it's probably because of this bug. Oh, and here's what I'm talking about, where I try to cast a power to defend myself, and it doesn't work because of the Earthquake bug. And it's not just Earthquake, it's any destructive Age 4 power that prevents you from casting other powers. And you can already start to see that we're running out of wood really quick. We're 20 minutes into the match, and I've already made it to the center area to mine all the wood, and the other teams are doing that too. So we're running pretty low on wood. Imagine if I had thought about this sooner, I start withering all the opponent's wood, that would be busted. And we are so fortunate that none of our opponents are from the Immortal Pillars or Heavenly Spear pantheons, because those pantheons have ways of generating wood. And Gaia too, actually, she generates wood, so we were so lucky that none of those pantheons were in play because I would give them such an unfair advantage. Although that being said, there is still 2 Egyptians, and as we know, Egyptian players do not need that much wood at all. And yeah, you can see due to the constant combat, I'm kinda hard stuck in Age 3. And while I'm stuck in Age 3, Burgundy is getting a Titan Gate out of all things. You know, the constant warfare has prevented me from aging up, so it's been hard not having the iron weapon technologies or the economic bonuses of being Age 4. And yeah, he's about to jump lead with a Titan, and it's not looking good. I'm trying to lead an expedition here to find his Titan, but it's too late. This man had put his Titan Gate in the front lines, what a bad man. And ironically, it worked out for him because I did not suspect it would be there at all. So now I'm panicking, harvesting the last wood in the map. Yeah, that's right, 30 minutes in the match, we're already running out of wood in the world. And I kind of like tried to lead the fortress here so he wouldn't see me, but it doesn't work. He's coming straight for me. And it's at this point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to 1-800 dial a friend to come help me. Like, normally I can handle a legendary bot just fine, but I do not know what was happening today. Well, fantastic news. Later on, I would run the replay, and it would turn out that Burgundy had actually stole all of his teammates' town centers. Yup, that's right, I was fighting a 3 town center battle against a 5 town center opponent. He had a 50 population advantage over me and all the technology in the world because he was an extreme bot. No wonder Red is the first one to die in this match because his teammate stole all of his town centers. Red is out here fighting a 1 town center battle versus 3 town centers, and I'm fighting a 3 town center battle against 5 town centers. I don't count the middle town centers I'm claiming because that thing drops like each 3 seconds. Like, the entire map just attacks it. Like, at least one person on each team has had to go at the middle town center at this point. So that thing hardly ever gives me population. But yeah, his Titan is just going to work on my base. I'm trying to make the most of it and defend myself. But I had to 1-800 phone a friend, so my teammate came to help me even though he was being invaded by Orange at the moment. He even casted an Underworld Invasion just for me. I'm so honored. So with my teammates' help, this will become a 6 town center versus 5 town center battle. As you can see here, my teammate was successfully able to subdue their Titan. Goodbye Cerebus. And good riddance. But Underworld Invasion kind of cut my gold supply though. which probably adds to the reason why hardly anyone ever picked Phone. We were only choosing the unique options today and playing Demeter just because we wanted to see how our third rework was. Probably not a good idea to play on the highest difficulty on a character that just got reworked and you hardly have any experience with. And then what's worse is this map runs out of wood, and the Greeks are very heavily wood dependent for their buildings, their archers, their siege. They are so wood dependent, and there's not a single bit of wood left. So you can see I'm literally scouring the map here trying to find out where I could get some wood. Actually, hey, yo, that sounds kind of weird with no context. But let's be panicked Age of Mythology players and not freaky Age of Mythology players right now. And yeah, I honestly thought this attack was enough to take down Burgundy, but I got distracted by the fact that my caravans were being killed off, and by the time I looked back, unfortunately my Burgundy invasion had failed, and they were actually able to bounce back on me. That may have been terrible wording again. And here it is, the last force for the entire match. I wouldn't know it until I watched a replay of that little piece of wood that I'm fighting red team over. It's the last forest. After that, everybody has to start mining the single trees that spawn randomly. And then I have no idea why blue is attacking me all of a sudden. He is literally the furthest person away from me, but I'll sort it out eventually. Also, my Hestia Hearth kept capturing Pegasus that was being produced by the Poseidons and Hades. And honestly, I thought that was so funny that I kept getting free Pegasus and I didn't even realize until later in the game. But that aside, Teal and Burgundy were tag teaming me like crazy the entire match. Teal was a better teammate to Burgundy than Red was because Red hardly ever attacked me. Eventually, I get a crazy idea that I'm going to start setting villagers into ships and setting them to the edge of the map to see if there's any trees over there. Since I did notice there was land at the edge of the map, but it seemed kind of small. But I wanted to risk it anyway because some wood is better than absolutely no wood. And there was absolutely no wood left on the main island at this point. We were getting our wood purely through the market trading. In case you guys didn't know, you can trade resources for wood in the market, but the more you do it, the worse the conversion rates get. So for example, at the beginning of the match, you could be trading 100 gold for 100 wood, but in the later part of this map, it was like 100 wood costed 370 gold in the market. And that was not sustainable, so that's why I was trying to find another way to get wood. Because otherwise, our gameplay loop literally consisted of just waiting for our caravans to get gold and then trading that gold for wood, and then just waiting for more gold to make units. It was just not fun. It was basically a giant waiting game. There's a reason why this match lasted nearly 2 hours. And now I'm going to skip to over here where Teal and Burgundy are once again tag teaming me. They just kept attacking me at the same time from perfectly different angles where they would not even see each other. So even though they were on different teams, it was basically like they were the same team. And then you can see I was just affected by the bug there again. But you can see right here that Teal is attacking from the top while Burgundy attacked from my side so that they wouldn't interact with each other. And they could hit me as far as possible. So I was in basically a 3 town center versus 9 town center situation here, since both Teal and Burgundy were sharing Red's town centers now that Red was defeated. In a last stand kind of attempt, I unleashed my Titan and hoped to wipe out Burgundy in one go, and then just hold on long enough that I could take Burgundy's town centers and equal out the amount of population between me and Teal. You know, because obviously in an equal population scenario, I would easily overcome this and win. You can see that I'm only making infantry right now due to the lack of wood. I'm saving my wood exclusively for town centers and buildings right now. And even then, I'm not rebuilding a lot of the things that were lost because it's just too expensive to afford it all. Even with my villagers on the edge of the map scouring for the little bits of wood I can get here. You can see I've literally almost scoured the entire edge of the map looking for wood. After some elbow grease, I was finally able to vanquish Burgundy from the map. And with that, I could start getting some population and me and Teal would have an equal population count, making it an easy win for me. The question is, would Teal sit around long enough for me to be able to do that, or are they going to keep pressing me? And you can see their immediate response was to keep pressing me and attacking me while I was down. But that's okay, because eventually I claw my way out of this. You can see after a few minutes I managed to take some of Burgundy and Red's town centers, and now that I have more than just a few crumbs of population and a Titan, I was marching my way to Teal's base and destroy them when Blue decided to step in and help Teal out. But even with Blue's intervention, it would ultimately not matter as I took out Teal anyway. Having gained the population advantage from all the town centers I was eating, I was able to overwhelm Teal with nothing but foot soldiers because I still was very scarce on wood. The wood prices just kept going up and up throughout the match due to everybody trading for wood in their markets. So even though I was winning, it was taking really long to win because of the lack of siege due to the lack of wealth wood. And as we took out blue team, there was only an orange team left. Even though orange team was one of the few teams to have not attacked us all round, well, we had to attack them anyway to finish the round. But yeah, I cutted this video a lot. I skipped a lot of the part where we were literally just sitting there waiting for our caravans to make it back to the market so we could buy more wood. This was all teams, by the way, not just us. All teams were doing this. They were just waiting for the caravans to get more wood at the market. So there were like segments where nobody was doing anything. We were just kind of stare off as we waited for our caravans to travel. But despite the dire situations we were in earlier in the game, the lack of wood for over an hour now, that's right, we've been playing a match with no wood for an entire hour. We were able to come out on top, and fantastically. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the wood chart so you guys can see what it was like for us the entire game. You guys can see that we all basically had 0 wood outside of the wood we were buying in the market, except for player 8. Player 8 was hoarding all the wood on the map to themselves. They had like 20,000 surplus wood. I think realistically they didn't collect more wood than us, they just used way less wood than us, so they had a lot more left over, since the Egyptian Pantheon is not very wood dependent at all. So yeah, the Egyptian Pantheon definitely had a leg up in the wood race here, but it's much better than the disparity an Immortal Pillar or Heavenly Spear civilization may have had, since Immortal Pillar civilizations can get wood easily in age 3, and Heavenly Spear civilizations can get wood easily in age 4. And then, of course, Gaia can make a ton of wood with her powers as well. But yeah, that was the match. What do I say about the new map? I thought it was a fun, unique experience, you know? It's definitely not going to be in my daily rotation, but I'd love to bring it out every now and then as a fun party trick. Because yeah, not all maps need to be in your daily rotation, you know? Same thing when I made like Zero Enclosure, for example. I didn't expect that to be in anyone's daily rotation. It was a fun, gimmicky map that you can enjoy every now and then. So I do appreciate the silliness and goofiness of the map. I just hope that they consider adding more trees in the future, maybe to the edge, possibly. Heck, if they want, I would even program it for them. Make it so that the land the edge is nothing but forest in case trees run out in the main area, since the edge kind of serves no other purpose on this map. And trees are a critical resource, you know? And trees being on the edge is, you know, not going to affect how the gameplay works because the edge is very exposed. It's within siege ship range. So it's not like you're adding safe wood to the map. It wouldn't affect the competitive balance that much, I don't think. It would simply just prevent matches from running as long as mine did. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe I could meet them somewhere in the middle on that. But besides that, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad they included this map. Sorry that I went a whole week without uploading, making subtitles for the last video, which was like 30-something minutes long. The video where I fought both an Extreme and Titan AI. That took a long while to make subtitles for that. So if you haven't seen it yet, please consider giving it a watch with subtitles on to show support for the amount of effort I put in that, and maybe tell me if there's a typo in the subtitles. But that's about it for today. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.